miscalculation on the part of the government. Did the government try to underestimate that this protest could snowball into something way bigger than what we are playing on the screens right now? Scores of people, thousands of them assembling in Jantar Mantar with one resolve, demanding accountability and ensuring there are reforms in the policy pertaining to education. Do you feel that the government felt that they could brush it under the carpet?
I would, if you look at the visuals which are out there, it is being shown on our screen, where, hundreds and hundreds of police personnel, the fumes of tear gas shells which have been lobbed at protesters and, thousands of them running away. If the government was, slightly more tuned into the situation, they could have very easily avoided this particular scenario. It was surprising that when Abhijit Deepke, who formed the new CJP and landed in Delhi, it was many believed that, the government would not allow him any permission to sit on protest. But the government actually gave in, the governments allowed him to sit on protest at Jantar Mantar. I think, one of the first error which happened was the government allowing him, 22, 23 days ahead of monsoon session of parliament. And, advisors, I would believe, grossly miscalculated that this, they must have felt that this protest would not go on for 22 days. And look, the visuals on our screen is something which, but the last time I saw something to the effect must have been decades before, when Anna Hazare and other protesters were sitting there protesting against the then UPA government. These visuals are embarrassing visuals, and I think the government could have very easily avoided these kind of visuals. There should have been some sort of dialogue between the protesters and the government. And, finally, the government is literally, if you ask me, is virtually forced to, to open a dialogue. And it will be very interesting to see what emerges out of that conversation between the CJP and the government of India. It will be very interesting to see, because now, if you go by the number of people who have assembled there, the fact that they have been able to reach that close to the parliament, and the government now, opening a line of dialogue, it clearly hints toward a fact that the government is also slightly worried about the optics which are emerging out of this particular protest.
Absolutely, Brijesh. I was covering the farmer protest not too many years ago, and those visuals were fresh in my memory. As I look at these visuals playing out on the screens, it was no different. It was quite similar. Even back then, it was a sense of mismanagement or miscalculation part of the government, and there seems to be no learning. And these are youngsters. We must keep in mind about the Gen Z protests that did rock the administrations in our neighboring countries. We are not saying that we're looking at a repeat of it over here in India, but the fact is that you cannot take it lightly either. The government has all the right to defend itself, to investigate, to not agree with the demands also. But the government should come on the talking table and engage and negotiate. At least that is something in a democracy that we can expect from an elected government.
Well, what is happening is it's something which is also extremely unfortunate. This quickness, this tendency to quickly jump at conclusion and label people as anti-national, or say that what if they are protesting, their intentions are compromises. I would say very lazy and compromised line of judgment, which I would unfortunately also say that many of our professions are also jumping to. The fact of the matter is that if anybody, any political party or any individual or entity feels aggrieved enough to sit on a dharna, it is job of the government to reach out to them. These are Indians. It's not like people from Pakistan have come out to protest and sit on protest at Jantar Mantar, and you would just dismiss their concerns in one fell swoop. The fact of the matter is that yes, government should talk to them. I'm not saying or advocating that the government should agree to every single demand, because then it would lead to another kind of anarchy where anybody who feels emboldened enough to sit on a dharna would want the government to listen to their demands in toto. But the fact of the matter is that nothing stops the government from opening a line of communication. The government is like the elder brother. They have to do this. It's not like that their strength, their position, their stature is going to be any way lessened bit if they reach out to have this kind of dialogue.